David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. We're going to go into our Laws of the Game episode. I'll give you a heads up. So right now, where we currently have the tier at, we're probably going to keep it there. And I want to really encourage you to take what you have and then start to apply it. Because if you can't get any value out of it in the real world, I want to really encourage you to try to find somebody that can give you some value that you can apply in the real world. I'm not creating this content for it to be like a dopamine hit to people. And that's kind of why the content is spaced out. I really want to put you in a position where you can take this and apply it to your real world situation and get some value out of it. And I want that to be the reason why you're here. So I want to really encourage you to go through the whole library of content, apply it, and to try to figure out, is it worth me staying in this particular Patreon and to keep supporting the content because I'm getting value from it, or are my dollars going to be better used somewhere else? Because like I said, is that the platform is not based around you getting that dopamine hit by mass content. It's about curating content that I believe can apply to your life and put you in a position to be successful. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, and I don't really do a lot of relationship dating content. However, what we're going to talk about this is that many men on social media, YouTube, are chasing and following these dating coaches and they're following these relationship coaches. And, you know, with relationships being one of the biggest verticals on the internet, and it's because so many people are unsuccessful and unfulfilled. A lot of people really probably need some level of therapy as opposed to a dating or relationship coach. But I'm gonna give you something that I believe could be a solution to your problem. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not a relationship advisor. I'm not in that space. However, I see a lot of guys in this situation, and I don't think they're being counseled properly. And what I want to tell a lot of the men that are so unsatisfied and they've taken these extreme positions is that one of your biggest problems in dating and relationships is that you need to find someone that actually likes you. And what do I mean by that? You need to find somebody that's actually into you. And a lot of men have bought into this narrative that women, and there's no woman that's actually into a man. And a lot of the, the relationships are conditional and yada, yada, yada. And I think that's the problem, is that they've never sought out people that actually like them. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And as a result, they spend a lot of time trying to make somebody that doesn't like them. And it doesn't work because the person doesn't like you. And then they're so unsuccessful at that, and they get, disillusioned. They become negative, and then they start having people fill their head with these ideas that, women are bad because they're never going to really like you as a person, and you shouldn't deal with them, and there's something flawed about females and yada yada yada. And nobody ever really wants to tell a lot of these guys is that you spent the majority of your life trying to go after somebody that didn't like you in the first place. And you need to really start examining some of the reasons why you did that. And it's not all your fault. A lot of it has to do with how you've been socialized. And we're going to kind of go into that. But let me tell you a really quick story about a guy named Bob, right? So Bob, as a young person, right, he buys into a lot of the social cues around him. And what he buys into is that I can get social acceptance if I can get the woman that everybody else is attracted to. So I'm in a particular ecosystem, I'm in a particular environment, and there are women that I've been socialized to believe are attractive. And therefore, if I can get one of those women, right, then I can get some kind of social acceptance or some kind of social clout because I have that woman that I believe that other people, right, are attracted to. Because most people don't want somebody that nobody else wants, right? They just don't. They really gauge their attractiveness, or they gauge their desirability of another person based on how they think other people are going to think about it, especially when it comes to physical appeal. Okay? And that's how most young people start believing that. So a lot of people start playing that kind of game like in middle school. Who's the girls that are quote unquote popular that everybody likes? And then, I may like her, but I'm scared to say something to her because I think she's going to reject me. So already I like somebody that doesn't like me. I like somebody that has never shown any kind of social cues or any kind of initiative towards liking me. But I like this person secretly. These secret crushes and these type of things. These are really harmful to young people because you buying into this idea that I should be liking somebody that does not like me. And I should be giving my energy to this person that has never shown any kind of affection or appeal towards me. right? But we tell young people to engage into this type of stuff. Okay, so this starts with Bob in middle school. Now we're in a different era now because we got social media. When I was coming up in middle school, what no thing is social media. And so for a lot of young people, they can't imagine a world in which the only way to get attention was from the people around you. You couldn't go onto something called the internet to get attention. They very much distorted relationships with this internet. It's really hurt relationships because a lot of the attention that people would have to leave the house to go get, they now can just sit in their house and take pictures and go get it. So a lot of women have had their perception of being attractive distorted by the internet, because if I'm a woman, I can go get some clothes from Fashion Nova and try them on YouTube, and my YouTube channel will blow up with all these guys telling me how good I look. And I would have to, back in the day, put those clothes on and leave the house. And then also something else you got to take into account is that most people live in small towns. So for a lot of people, your social circle was really based on the people that lived in your town and your city, which really was not that big. Most people don't live in New York. They don't live in Chicago. They don't live in Los Angeles. They don't live in Miami. That's the majority of the world. I'm sorry, that's the majority of the country. Most people live in a city that don't even have 100,000 people in it. Therefore, they would just accept that, you know what? The people that I can deal with are the people in my local area. So when I was younger, you would go to like a small city and you would see a really attractive woman with like a regular looking guy. And you know why she was with that guy? Because that's the people that was in her area. So she didn't trip on, well, I can get attention from other men because no, I'm in this little small town in East Tennessee. And so even though I was blessed with a lot of really attractive physical characteristics, the men that are available to me are the men in my area, right? And you would see the same thing to where you would see a man that a lot of women thought was very, very attractive, and he'd be dealing with an average chick. Why? Because that was the women in his area, right? Unless he wanted to drive all over the state, he was going to deal with the women in his area, and he was going to make the best selection based on what he was trying to do with his life. We're in an era now, and it really benefits women more than it benefits men, to where I can jump on this internet and get a lot of attention, right? I really can. And I think that has distorted people's perception of their relationship value, because I feel like I don't have to appeal to the people in my area because I can get attention from people on the internet. And then I get into this kind of like this addiction of how much attention can I get? And that's also like you're chasing dopamine. When a woman is putting up 1 million pictures on Instagram, she's chasing dopamine because she's chasing the reaction of the pictures. And she just can't stop herself from doing it. Some of these profiles, there's nothing on the profile that even has anything to do with like who this is as a person. It's just a bunch of glamour shots, and they have a right to do that. It's their profile. But you got to understand is that this type of stuff didn't exist. So you have these environments in which people don't have to depend on the people around them to get their attention anymore. And therefore, Bob, who we were talking about earlier, he gets into the idea that I should spend my time crushing on women that have never shown they've ever liked me. And now this plays out on the internet. So they used to be played out in real life where this guy, and you have movies like 16 Candles. If any of y'all want to go look at this, an old school movie came out in the 80s, to where I have a crush on a girl who, one, doesn't like me or doesn't even know I exist. Right? And 16 Candles is a really good movie. And I may do a video on that, to where pretty much every teenager, there's 3 main characters in that movie. Pretty much every teenager is a combination of those 3 characters. And if you're a younger person, I want to really encourage you to like go into the Netflix archives and go look at that movie. It's a really, really good movie about like teenage life. And, you know, for people that's like under a certain age, you have this perception that life is so different because of your age. Let me explain something to you. The same stuff that 19-year-olds was doing today, they was doing 1,000 years ago. Nothing has really changed. It's just technology has changed. Some social things have changed, but a 19-year-old is a 19-year-old. A 15-year-old is a 15-year-old. Nothing has really changed about them, because brain development at that age is pretty much the same regardless of the time period, right? You know, a 5-year-old is a 5-year-old. They're the same thing today. They're the same thing 1,000 years ago. They'll be the same thing 1,000 years in the future. A 5-year-old is going to be a 5-year-old, because brain development is pretty much going to be the same. We have this attitude that a young person today is totally different than a young person 40 years ago. Not really, but you have to believe that to buy into some of the stuff that they're selling you. And so what happens is Bob likes a woman, likes a girl that don't like him. And he starts to believe that this is normal. So I'm supposed to like people that don't like me. Then I go on social media and I like people that don't like me. They don't even know I exist. Right? So this used to be like a storyline to where there's a girl in the school or there's a guy in the school and they got a crush on somebody that doesn't even know they exist. And they just sit back and just have this crush and just long for this person. Or they got a crush for this celebrity who definitely doesn't know they exist because they're not in their world. And they're just obsessed with this person. Well, social media has allowed you people to do this on a micro level. So now on a lot of people's social media is that you have young men that have crushes on women that'll never know they exist. It just will never happen because you're not even in this person's area. So they'll never see you, but you got a crush on this person. You really like this person that you really don't know. So it's just like what people was doing back in middle school back in the day. Right? And then you get into this habit of thinking, this is how my relationship dynamic with women should work. So then what Bob does is he goes online now, right? Because he's never been able to really figure out how to get people that like him, right, to be the same people he likes. He spends his whole life going through middle school. Now he goes into high school. He has the same type of setups. He goes into college. He has the same type of setups because this has become his pattern. Then he goes online and he gets info on why women that he likes don't like him. And then he buys into all these narratives that are really not a solution to his problem. They're really excusing his behavior. So, you know, it's female nature. It's the modern women, yada, yada, yada. You know, you shouldn't deal with women, you know, just all kind of stuff that really don't make a lot of sense. And one of the biggest challenges is that, one, dating is relatively new in the world. We haven't even been dating for 100 years. And we really don't teach people how to date. And then therefore, a lot of people don't have the information in their head to be successful as a dater. And then they get quote unquote dating coaches. And the dating coaches don't have a incentive to make you successful. They have an incentive to keep you as a dater. Then you got to keep coming back to them for information. And you got to really understand how that model works. So then Bob gets all this false information around why something's wrong with women and why he should continue to go after women that don't like him. And in reality, Bob should stop dealing with women that don't like him. Right? The woman, if the woman doesn't like you, why are you trying to go after her? But see, what we teach men is this type of stuff. You know, if you ask the woman out and she says no, you need to ask her out again. Why? Or if, you know, you should do all these things, you know, this attitude that the role of a man is to make a woman's life exciting. Who told you that? If that's what she wants and that's not who you are, you shouldn't try to be that to make her happy. Let her find somebody that's what they want to do. And what happens, like I said, is that you like somebody that don't like you. If you're not Mr. Excitement, why are you trying to be Mr. Excitement to make the woman like you? Once again, you're trying to make somebody that don't like you because you like her. So then your goal is to not try to figure out who do I need to be to make her like me, but she don't like you. Who you are, she doesn't like that, but you like her. And what happens is you run through this pattern the rest of your life, trying to figure out how to make somebody that don't like you like you. And so Bob, after he finished dealing with all these dating coaches and all these red pill, purple pill, Vicodin pill, Percocet pill coaches, he never learns how to like the women that like him. That's going to be his downside. How do you figure out what women like me, who I am as a person, and how can I get into a healthy relationship with those women? And that's something that a lot of men struggle with because we've been conditioned and socialized to go after this archetype of woman. But a lot of times you don't understand is if that woman doesn't like you, then why are you wasting your time going after her when she don't like you? But if you're trying to get acceptance and validation from the environment that you're in, that you got this kind of woman, you deal with a woman that don't like you, right? And sometimes you have to accept the fact that I may like somebody and they don't like me. That means I need to move on to somebody else that actually does like me. Okay? And that's the problem. A lot of men get caught on this rabbit wheel or this hamster wheel of liking somebody that doesn't like them and then trying to figure out how to prove themselves. So this is a mistake a lot of big men make. They treat women like a job interview. What do you do in a job interview? You try to sell yourself as why you should work on that job, right? And a lot of men think that's what they have to do with women, is that I like this woman. She's acting like she doesn't like me. Now, what I got to try to do is prove myself as to why she should like me. So with some men, I'm going to spend money. So I'm going to take her out on these expensive dates. Because they not really doing it for the sex. They want the woman to affirm them. They want the woman to validate them that she likes them. Because they want to feel all right about themselves. And they trying to do it through the validation and acceptance of that particular woman. So let me take her out on a lot of real expensive dates. And then if she likes me and starts acting like she likes me, then I feel good about myself. Or let me, give her a lot of attention. And then if she acts like she likes me and she's receptive to my attention, then I feel good about myself. Or, let me prove myself that I'm this type of guy. So, a woman is saying, well, I want this type of man. I want this type. So let me prove to her I'm that type of guy. And then if she likes me after I prove to her that I'm this type of guy, I feel validated and I feel accepted. Well, I want you to understand something. None of that works if she don't like you. You can't prove to somebody that does not like you that you are the right person. So a woman could tell you, I want a man who's, the key terms. I want a man who's a protector and a provider. Okay. So now you go out of your way to show her I'm financially stable. I got a certain amount of money coming in. I can provide a safe home, yada, yada, yada. And it still doesn't work. Why? Because she don't like you. She doesn't want a man that's a protector and a provider. She wants somebody that she likes. Right. And until she finds somebody that she likes, she's going to lie about what she wants until she finds somebody that she likes. And then if she likes the person, it really don't matter what else they got going on because she likes them. Right. Men are the same way. They don't want a certain kind of woman. They want who they like. And if they like the woman, they'll overlook a lot of stuff. Just like, you got a celebrity. I overlook the fact that the woman I'm with did pornography. And it's like she did pornography in real life. Like she did it through a corporation, right? That understands that you got to do releases. You got to have your records on with the county clerk in California to release this pornography with commercial intent. So it wasn't just something she shot with her boyfriend that got released on the internet. No, she did pornography that was produced as a commercial product, which means that there is a release from her to release this. She put her records with the clerk of courts. I think it's the county clerk, because at any time they could pull that back to make sure that there wasn't child pornography. So her records got to be on the actual county record to showing that at that particular date of that particular release of that content, really when it was filmed, that she was above the age of consent. She did that, but I like her so much, I overlook it. Why? Because I like her. So men do the same thing. Men aren't looking for a particular type of woman. They're looking for somebody that they like. And if they like her, they'll try, a lot of times they'll try to figure out how to make her be all right with what they got going on because they like her. Right? And that's what you got to understand. So many men are trying to make the woman that they like them, and they're overlooking everything wrong with that woman. And I may do a video about that one day. They're overlooking everything wrong with that woman. Why? Because I like her. So I'm going to try to make her be into the person I want to be. Men do this just as much as women do. We talk about how women do it, but men do it all the time too. That's why you got all these dudes on internet crying about the woman they had a child with, because they try to make that woman be who they wanted to be because they liked her. And then when they realized after they had kids with her that she really wasn't on nothing, then all of a sudden they crying on the internet and they got people telling them that it ain't their fault. But dude, you didn't really figure out who she really was as a person. You found somebody that you like that probably really didn't like you like that. And you try to make her into the right person. Why? Because you liked her. And that's what a lot of people do. And so what a lot of men get caught up in the trap is trying to prove themselves to a woman that don't even like them like that. She doesn't like him like that. Because what they're trying to do is get what happened in middle school right. So what we have with a lot of people, and I talked about this in an earlier video, is they felt bad about something that happened early in their life, and they spend the rest of their life trying to make that right. I was disappointed in middle school because this girl who was popping, and she was a little cute chick in school, she didn't like me. And I spend the rest of my life replaying that scenario over and over again with every woman that I meet.